Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. My equipment cut out on me. So, let's jump right back in where we were. Last thing we saw was getting down to this point here. Okay, we've got negative 15 minus 15x equals negative 4x minus 8x. Okay, and so I'm going to look at this other side of the equation over here, and I'm going to combine any like terms I see on that side now, because we're done combining over here on this side. Okay, so on the right hand side of the equation, I see two things that I can combine. So I'm going to justify my step, combine negative 4x and negative 8x, and then I'm going to go ahead and write the combination. Okay. And so it's going to be negative 15 minus 15x. We're going to bring everything that we didn't touch down, equals, and then the combination or combining negative 4x and negative 8x is going to give us negative 12x. All right, so now we got to move on to the next step because we're done combining like terms. So after combining like terms, it's going to say move variables to the same side of the equal sign. Okay, that's step number 3. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's move all the variables to the same side of the equal sign. Now I want to move this 15x over to the right side. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize inverse operations. Okay, right now over here it's a negative 15x or minus 15x. So I'm going to invert that thing, make it the opposite. So to justify that, we're going to add 15x to both sides of our equations, both sides. And why are we adding to both sides? Because anything we do on the left side, we have to do on the right at this point. Everything we do from now on, we move things from here over here or backwards, okay? We have to do the same thing to both sides. All right, so we're going to have to add 15x to both sides. Okay. Now, negative 15x plus 15x is just going to result in a zero pair. Those things are going to cancel out. And what we're going to be left with is negative 15 over here, brought that guy down, equals, and then negative 12 plus 15, that's going to be a positive 3x, or 3x. Okay. Now let's take a look at step number 4. Step number 4 says move other terms to the opposite side of the equal sign. So let's take a look at our variable over here. Are there any other terms with it? And terms are things separated by plus or minus. So no, I don't have anything added to this 3x or subtracted to this 3x. So there's no other terms. So we can just move on from that step. The last step here is to get rid of the coefficients attached to the variable. Okay, so we're going to get rid of this coefficient here, this 3, attached to this x. Okay, they're in the same term. And because it's 3 times x, I have to utilize my inverse operations. We're going to use inverse operations to make this 3 move over here. So what's the inverse operator of a multiply? We're going to divide 3 on both sides. Okay, divide both sides by 3. Okay, so we're going to divide both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3 is the multiplicative identity. That just goes to 1. Okay, so they cancel. And then negative 15 divided by 3 is actually going to be negative 5 equals x. Okay, there's our answer. Now I want you guys to substitute this in and check your answer. Let's check to make sure it works. Okay, you guys make sure you do the check. Okay, Let's take a look at one more example. Just the one more, then we'll be done. Okay. Let's say we had this example right here. Negative parentheses 7 minus 4x. This is example 3. Divided by 3 equals 3. Now this may look a little scary. Remember, it's just a fraction, okay? Just this thing divided by this thing. That's all that side is. All right, so let's take a look at our steps. So we're still doing those things, okay? What's the first step? Get rid of parentheses. So let's do that. And we're going to do that by distributing this negative 1 here. If you put that 1 there, it makes it a lot easier. So to justify, we're going to distribute the negative 1. Okay? Negative 1 times 7 is going to be negative 7. Negative 1 times 4, or negative 4, is going to be positive 4x. Now we're going to put everything down we didn't touch. This divided by 3, that whole side, we didn't touch that. So it goes there, and then equals 3. Now, what's the next step? Combine like terms on either side. So let's look at this right side. Can we combine any like terms over here? No. How about the left? Can we combine any like terms over here? No. So we're going to move on. Move variables to the same side of the equal sign. So we have to make sure all the variables are on the same side. Okay. Do I have an x on this side and this side? No, just on this side. We're good. Now we're going to move other terms to the opposite side of the equal sign. And this is where we're going to run into a problem, because we got to move this 7 to the other side. We can't do that yet because we have this pesky divided by 3 here. So how do we get rid of that divided by 3? Well, what are we going to use? We're going to use inverse operations. Okay? So we're going to do the opposite of dividing by 3 on both sides. So we're going to multiply both sides by 3. Okay, so I'm going to multiply this side by 3 and this side by 3. Okay. And when you multiply and divide by 3, those things cancel out. So let's write down what's left. Negative 7 plus 4x, this side right here, this piece, equals 3 times 3 is 9. Done. Okay, now I can move this 7 to the other side. And how are we going to do that? We're going to utilize inverse operations. We're going to do the opposite of that 7, or the inverse of that 7, which is add 7 to both sides. So add 7, add 7. Okay. And that's going to make this 4x equals 9 plus 7. It's going to be 16. Alrighty. Now we're going to move on to the last and final step. Get rid of the coefficients attached to the variable. Okay, so we got to get rid of this coefficient attached to x. Okay, that coefficient is 4. And what are we doing with it? 4 times x. Well, since we're multiplying here, we're going to inverse operate or do the opposite. And we're going to divide. Okay, divide both sides by 4. So this 4 divided by 4 there is going to cancel out. We're going to have x equals 16 divided by 4 is 4. And there's my answer. So that's solving single variable multi-step equations. I would like you, in your notes, and I will be looking for this on your submission, okay, I would like you to try go ahead and try the following practice one. A plus 5 equals negative 5a plus 5. And I would also like y'all to try 12 equals negative 4, negative 6x minus 3. Okay. Go ahead and try those two problems, and I will have the answers to those when you come to class for that day. Thank you guys very much. Have a wonderful night. Oh, I almost forgot. Would you like to take a look at my example notes? Here they are. Okay. And here's the next page. Here's the third page. All right. See you next time, guys.